so today we're at section 3.3, stem and leaf plots. All right, so we can think of a stem and leaf plot in terms of like a real branch from a tree. Okay, so this branch from the tree, we just talked about this. All right, so the branch from the tree can it only have one leaf? No, it can have multiple leaves all connected to one branch. All right, so the branch is what all of the leaves have in common. They're all connected to the one branch. All right, so same thing goes with a stem and leaf plot. If we look at example 1, go ahead and turn in your books to page 116. Page 116, we're going to use the chart at the top of page 116 to set up our stem and leaf plot. Okay, so we're looking at the chart at the top of page 116, and it gives me some different animals, okay? And it gives me how fast they can run. It tells us how fast they can run. So I'm going to use my rules for range, all right? What is the slowest animal? What's the lowest speed? The giraffe. Very good. And the giraffe can run 32 miles an hour. So what I have to ask myself is, okay, what is going to be my stem? What number will multiple animals have in common? So the giraffe is in the 30s. Any other animals in the 30s? Yes. The greyhound. Okay, so the giraffe is 32, the greyhound's 39. What number do they have in common? The 3. The 3 is the number that they have in common. One is 32, the other one's 39, but they both have a 3 in common. So I do a 3 and a 2 and 9. 2 and 9 are my leaves, and they both have the 3 in common. Any numbers or any animals run in the 40s? Elk, the quarter horse, the coyote, and the zebra. Which one is the lowest value in the 40s, though? The zebra, and it's a 0. So I've got to put a 0 in there to account for the zebra's speed. And then I've got my coyote, 43, my elk at 45, and my quarter horse at 47. Whew, that's a fast horse. Okay, at 47. So now again, all of those speeds have the 4 in common. So the number that they have in common is our stem, and then the leaves, the numbers within that stem, that's what goes in our leaves. All right, so what about our 5? Any speeds in the 50s? Yeah. Wildebeest, very good, 50. What about our 60s? Anything? No speeds in the 60s, so we just use an X. What about anybody in the 70s? No. There we go. We got our cheetah. Our cheetah's the fastest. So now we've created a stem and leaf plot from this chart. The last thing that we're missing is what we call a key. And what the key tells us is how the stem and leaves are separated. What place value is it separating? Because for all I know, the 3 and the 2 is a 3.2. A 3 and 2/10. Okay, so the key is going to tell me, is it separating the 1s and the 10s? Is it separating the 10s and the 1s? Or even the 100s and the 10s? We've got to figure that out. So 3 to 2, I always just like to use this first number in the stem and leaf plot. I'm going to say 3 to 2 equals 32. Now my key has now told my reader 3 to 2 is 32, so they know what values can actually be pulled out of it. So someone could read your chart and pull the numbers out and recreate the chart that we see on page 116 without even having to see it. All right, so you should be able to kind of go back and forth with these values. So that's a stem and leaf plot. Okay, so in example 2, we're looking at a little bit of a bigger stem and leaf plot. There are 20 values. What it says is that there's a skateboarding competition, it's a bicycle stunt competition. And here's all of their scores. Okay, so as they're doing all these tricks, there's 20 different bicyclists, all right, and here are their averages or their scores. I need you to set up a stem and leaf plot, and I'm actually going to, hold on. I'm going to set it up over here. Okay, here's my stem and leaf plot. Now, I've already circled in red, what is my lowest number? What's my lowest number? 84.1. But I also have, what's another number in the 84s? 84.3. So I have two numbers in the 84s, but what is the number in common that they have? 84. So 84 goes in my stem, and the 1 and the 3 goes in my leaves. What about 85? Do you see a number in the 85s? Where? 85.6. So I write that in my leaf. What about 86? Any numbers in the 86s?
Yes, 86.7.
All right, so I've got 86.7. Any others? And then just 86. But what would be my decimal place if it's a whole number? 0. So I've got to have a 0 there, otherwise that number will not be accounted for. 0 and a 7. So now what I want you to do is I want you to finish this stem and leaf plot. Go ahead and finish this stem and leaf plot. All right, so say them with me. 87, what are my leaves? 5. What about 88? 2 and 9. What about 89? 1, 2, 4, 5, and 7. What about 90? What about 91? Okay, did you remember your key? Now, I like to use the very first number, so 84.21 equals 84 and 1/10. That way your reader knows that that's not 841, that's 84 and 1/10. So you've got to have the key. All right, and we've completed our stem and leaf plot. All right, now I want you to work on the classwork, page 117. I want you to do numbers 1 through 3 all. Okay, classwork, page 117, numbers 1 through 3 all. So you're going to make a stem and leaf plot from test scores. There are 20 test scores. I want you to copy those test scores down on your papers. Do not mark in the book. All right, that's especially important for your homework tonight. If somebody has, please erase it. All right, I want you to copy the numbers. Now, go ahead and put them in order, least to greatest, on your paper. Okay? That'll be helpful for the next step that we do after we do the stem and leaf plot. Okay, so go ahead and put them in order from least to greatest. Make your stem and leaf plot and then answer numbers 2 and 3. All right, what's the lowest test score in the chart? 67. Okay, so I write a 6 and a 7. What's the next score? 69. Someone raise your hand and tell me what leaves belong with the 7. What are my leaves in the 7s category? Deja? 1, 3, 3, 5, and 8. What about my 8s? Anybody think they know all the leaves in the 8s? Bonasia? Just forgot. What did she forget? The 1. There was an 81. There's an 81. What about my 9s? Alexis? What? Oh, close. She said 2, 4, and 8. Which one did she forget, Noah? 6. 2, 4, 6, and 8. And now I have a perfect score of 100. Well, you have to think for a minute, well, what if I had more than one score over 100? What if I had 100 and 102 and 104? What do they all have in common? A 10. A 10, not a 1, because a 1 would mean like an 18. Okay? So it would be a 10, and then the 0 goes with the leaf. So now my stem and leaf plot is complete. What am I missing, though? I'm missing my key, and like I said, I like to use the very first number. So 6 to 7 is 67. Now to answer number 2, it says how many of the scores were greater than 84. So here's my cutoff. All right, 83, and that's my cutoff. So I've got 4 numbers here, 4 numbers here, and 1 number here. So how many is that? 9. 9 scores were over 84. Now in number 3, it says to make a conclusion about the data. Anytime you're making a conclusion, You're looking for where most of the numbers are clustered. So I would say on this one that most of the scores fell in the 80s. Okay, I'm looking for where the scores are clustered. Now I want to take it a step further and kind of bring it together. I want to find the mean of these numbers. I want you to find the mean. You're definitely going to want to use your calculator. What is the mean of these numbers? Go ahead and find it. Okay, so what do I get when I add them all together?
97.
No, I add them all together?
1,667.
Yes, there it is. All right, so when I add them all together, I get 1,667. And how many am I dividing by? 20. So I get 83.35. 83.35 is the mean. Who got that right? 83.35. All right, so I add them all together and I divide by the number of numbers. Now, when I want to find the median, I can use my stem and leaf plot, or if you've already written the numbers least to greatest, like written them out, you can use that set too. But let's just say that I just go ahead and use my stem and leaf plot. Well, what's the lowest number? The lowest number, 7. What's my highest value? My 100, my 0. So I'm going to start crossing off my leaves from the outside in. The next number is my 9, and the next highest number is my 8. The next lowest number is 1. The next highest number is 6. And I'm going to keep going, guys. The 3 and the 2, the 5 and the 9, the 8 and the 9, the 1 and the 8, and I keep working my way inside until now I have 2 numbers left. Now in this case, it's the exact same number. All right, so my median is 3, right? Is that the entire number? What is my median? 83. My median is 83. What about my mode? What do you think your mode is? See any numbers that repeat? Loza? 89 and 83. Any others? Alexis? 73. And they all repeat twice, so they are all the mode. What about the range? Anybody have a guess at the range? What'd you think? Deja says 33. How'd she find that?
She did 100 minus 67.
100 minus 67 gives me a range of 33. All right, if you understand that, that's everything you need to know for section 3.3.